Welcome to Preston Dakotan Sports Monday presented by Spotted. For photos and video of area events, go to spotted.yankton.net. Now here are your hosts, Jeremy Hoeck and James Cimburek.
Hello and welcome to another Sports Monday video alongside sports editor James Cimburek. This is Jeremy Hoeck and we've got a loaded basketball show to talk about. Today we're going to start right away with Yankton High School. Bucks and Gazelles both played the #1 team in the state this past week.
The Yankton Bucks hosted top-ranked Sioux Falls Lincoln on Saturday. Gazelles hosted Pierre on Friday. Let's talk about that game first. Pierre Lady Govs were our #1 in the state by virtue of a 1-point win over Sioux Falls, Washington earlier this year. Of course, Sioux Falls, Washington got Yankton pretty good, but that wasn't the case here on Friday night. The Yankton Gazelles came out, played tremendous defense. For the most part, kept Pierre's dynamic duo of Katie Lingle and Steph Pollock in check. Lingle ended up having the first 7 points of the game, I believe, and she had most of the last 7. But in between, she was held fairly in check. And Pierre ends up escaping with a 2-point victory over the Gazelles there on Friday night. Unfortunately, the Gazelles weren't able to carry that momentum in the Saturday, end up losing an overtime game to Sioux Falls Lincoln on Saturday night.
Yeah, and back-to-back impressive games. I mean, no matter how you slice it, obviously they're 2 losses, but impressive showings in both. Sioux Falls Lincoln and Pierre are both very talented, in their own different ways, and so that's very impressive for Yankton to everything they battled to be able to put it together and get that close.
Oh yeah, and they're going to need it again this week. Sioux Falls Roosevelt at home on Tuesday, Rapid City Stevens on Friday, Rapid City Central on Saturday. Stevens has only 1 win, which just came on Friday night against Spearfish. Rapid City Central is a 500 ball club. They were projected to be one of the top teams in the state because they returned most of a state tournament team from a year ago. Sioux Falls Roosevelt. They're traditionally one of the top end teams in the state, and they're 5-3, I believe, this year. But a lot of quality athletes, and they're going to be a tough test.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy weekend, to say the least. Obviously, 3 games in a period of 5 days.
Yep, and the boys have a little lighter schedule on the back end, but they also had a tough weekend. Friday night they go up to Brandon. Have a little tougher time with Brandon than the first time around, but that was expected. Brandon had 1 starter out and another starter coming off being a little dinged up from football. This time it was a 5-point game. Yankton still pulls out the victory. Saturday night against Sioux Falls Lincoln, that was tough. Sioux Falls Lincoln, if you haven't seen them play, they are one of the quickest AA teams that I've ever seen. They fly 10 kids, obviously not at the same time because that's illegal, but it feels like it the way they play defense. They are flying to the ball. They play full court defense until they're up by 30 in the late 3rd quarter, which is when they pulled it off against Yankton. But they play full court trap the entire game. And they force you to do some things that you don't want to do out there. They make you rush your offense. They make you make some passes that you wouldn't normally make, and they forced Yankton into a lot of tough situations there, and came out with a 28-point victory in that one.
Yeah, a weekend split for the Bucks. Now they have a couple games this coming weekend. They're at Rapid City Stevens on Friday, and then they return back to Yankton for Central.
No, Rapid City Central is also in Rapid City.
Oh.
But both the game, both Stevens and Central, their records aren't the greatest. But 2 games on the road like that is always a tough trip, no matter where you're going and no matter who you're playing. So the Bucks will have 4 days of practice to get ready this week, and then they've got a tough road trip, 300 and some miles each way, and a couple of basketball games in between.
Let's stay with Yankton High School. Let's talk wrestling before we move on to basketball again. We have the Bucks hosting Brandon Valley in a wrestling duel last Thursday. They beat Brandon Valley pretty convincingly.
Well, yeah, and that's a match that that last year Brandon Valley was able to sneak that one away from the Bucks, and the Bucks remembered that. There was Brandon Valley is not the best team in the world, but they do one thing well, which is turn some throws into pins, and that's what they did last year to sneak out a couple-point victory. This year, Yankton was ready for it, and although Brandon Valley was able to get a pin or two in there, Yankton controlled just about every match and really took it to Brandon Valley. That's kind of what Coach Hoeck was hoping for and got on Thursday night. This coming week is going to be probably as tough as you're going to see during the season. Friday night ESD matchup at Aberdeen Central. Aberdeen Central has been one of the top teams in the ESD the last couple of years. Not a traditional power in the sense, but they're a team that has really developed their program and turned into one of the better programs in the state the last couple of years. And then Saturday you've got the East-West duels in Pierre. Pierre, Watertown, and Yankton go out to Pierre and host 3 West River schools: Sturgis, Stevens, and Rapid City Central. And if you know your wrestling, you know that Sturgis is by far the best team in the state, and deservedly so. They have the top-rated wrestler in the state in a number of weight classes. Rapid City Stevens is right behind them, ranked number 2 in the state, and another great team out of the defending state champions. And Rapid City Central, Coach Hoeck on Saturday, breakfast with the coaches, said that Rapid City Central has their best team that they've had in a long time. So Yankton is hoping to get a couple wins out of that trip, but expecting them to go 4-0 might be a little bit much.
Yeah, very tough weekend. Let's move over to the Mount Marty College. We're going to have some clips of the men, and obviously they had a pretty good week. The men did in a couple games this week. They had a non-conference game at USD on Tuesday. Obviously one of those games that they just wanted to go in and play well, and you know what? They really did in the second half.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously Tyler K and Rain Mergen both ending up with double-doubles really were too much of a match for Mount Marty's post players, but in terms of offensively, the Mount really came through in that one.
Yeah, in the last 10 minutes of that game, they scored 30 points, and the talk afterward was, okay, that was impressive, but let's just keep that going. Against Concordia on Saturday, obviously Concordia, the #1 team in the GPAC, nationally ranked, that was going to be a very tough game. In the Mount, they kept it going.
Well, yeah, and Concordia led the GPAC coming in. They weren't the highest rated team in the GPAC. Briarcliff had that, but Concordia came into this with 1 conference loss. 4 teams have 2 conference losses. That tell you how tight the conference is right now. But Concordia came in with 1 conference loss, and Mount Marty really showed some great offense in that one. Shot over 60% from the field, and had a couple guys have some big games and took care of business.
Yeah, and a very impressive win. I mean, now the Lancers, they got that first GPAC one out of the way. Obviously, a very, very tough way to do it. But you've got to think, even coming out of the USD game, there was going to be that confidence booster. Now there's going to be even more confidence and more momentum, hopefully, coming home against Northwestern, another very tough team on Wednesday.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Concordia game was the game that Coach Thorson's been looking for out of this team all this season. He knew he had the parts; it just hadn't come together yet. And on Saturday it came together. Now they got to put it together again against another nationally ranked team in Northwestern, another team that's traditionally one of the top teams in the nation. So they're going to have their hands full at Simple Arena on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. All right, and just a quick reminder for you. Tuesday through Friday, James and I will have the P&D Sports Minute, hopefully up on Spotted between 3 and 4 p.m. And obviously, as always, our blog is going on a link through yankton.net, and so we'll look for you there. For James Cimburek, this is Jeremy Hoeck. We will see you next week.